Welcome to Time for Hope, a faith-based mental health program. Join our host, certified clinical mental health counselor and Christian psychotherapist Dr. Freda Crews, and her guests as they discuss real-life issues and offer expert clinical advice and solid biblical application for any and all life situations. Now here's the host of Time for Hope, Dr. Freda Crews.
We are pleased that you have chosen to join us for another edition of Time for Hope. I'm Dr. Freda Crews, your host, and today I am being joined by author, speaker, and ministry leader, Crystal Sutherland. Today, Crystal and I will be talking about her book titled Journey to Heal, subtitled 7 Essential Steps of Recovery for Survivors of Childhood Sexual Abuse. With more than 42 million victims, both male and female, of childhood sexual abuse in the United States alone, the need for healing is enormous. While there is no simple formula for those seeking recovery, Crystal believes the Bible contains essential guidance for moving towards freedom from shame, guilt, and other emotional and mental health problems. Calling her book a roadmap to recovery, Crystal invites readers to accept the truth of their stories of abuse and seek God's help for healing. Stay with us as Crystal and I share biblical directions that can lead you through that journey. And Crystal, it's great having you on Time for Hope.
Thank you very much, Dr. Freda. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thanks for your time and especially for your book, which I have thoroughly gone through. And I appreciate so much that you have it so direct and to the point. A lot of books aren't that way. You have to go through a lot to get to, and you've got those 7 steps laid out so clearly. And I want to encourage our viewers to make sure they get a copy because it is so direct and to the point, and also I think so God biblically oriented, which I greatly appreciate.
Thank you.
I've got something I want to say before we really get started. I want to pay tribute to my father and the home that I came from. I am so thankful that I am one of those that never had to worry about that with my dad. I can remember as a little girl, he told me I was always tagging along behind him, wanting to do whatever he was doing and so forth. And then he had my people, I'm of Irish descent, he had very curly hair, and every so often he would say, get your comb and come comb my hair. And I'd crawl up in his lap and comb his curly hair and that kind of thing. But I never saw not even a sidewise glimpse at me or any of my sisters that was an evil eye or anything like that. So I'm so thankful. He's been gone since '88, but I'm very thankful that I had that kind of father.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good.
But that doesn't keep me from feeling and being empathetic and even sympathetic with where you're coming from and what has happened in too many homes in America.
Yes, and I came from very common, and this is also very common for a lot of people, I came from a broken home. And so my parents were teenagers when they had me. And literally, 16 and 18. And they got married very young and they divorced. And my biological father was not involved in my life in my growing years. He did later become very involved in my life. And so my mom, when she remarried. She remarried and then that didn't work and she divorced and then she remarried again, and it was her third husband that abused me. I was about 10 years old when it began.
Well, some began even earlier,
Yes,
even earlier than that. Having been a licensed professional counselor, I heard these stories, of course, and I think many people would be surprised how often I heard them from males, not just female patients, but male patients.
Absolutely.
That were abused by none other than their fathers. And actually they say that many homosexual males, it comes from having been abused by their fathers. I've been in conferences where they taught that, and I've had patients share that with me.
Absolutely. It's very prevalent. You know, there are statistics that reveal that there are close to 1 in 10 children, male and female, that'll be abused before they reach the age of 18. And those statistics break down conservatively to 1 in 7 girls and 1 in 25 boys. But a lot of it depends on how those case studies are done. You know, some statistics say 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys. But regardless, I don't think there's any way to really overestimate the number, because sexual abuse is something that is done in silence and secrecy, and many of the cases are not reported. I know that was true in my case. I didn't report. I was abused for 5.
You didn't know it was a crime.
I didn't know it was a crime.
It's not only, it's a legal crime, and it's a crime against nature. It's a crime against God's standards. It's a crime.
It's a crime against your soul. It's a crime against the soul of the human heart, and I do believe that it leaves...
It's an assault on the soul.
It absolutely is, and I believe it leaves a soul wound that only God can heal.
Yes, it leaves very deep wounds of distrust. I think that's one of the main things, is the distrust that it builds. You're trusting the very people that should be looking after you and taking care of you, and they're betraying you. And let us mention that it's not always a father. It can be a brother, it can be an uncle, it can be a cousin, it can be, and again, I had an older cousin that we were soulmates, but he was going to take care of me. He wasn't about to betray or harm me. He was there to take care of me as we grew up together.
Right, but often, and that's wonderful that you had that. It is, and so often in stories of child sexual abuse, it is someone that a child knows. It's that person was within their circle of trust. So it could not only be a family member, it could also be a babysitter. It could be a trusted family friend. It could be a pastor, a youth pastor, a sports coach. It really, there are no boundaries when it comes to that. It can happen anywhere. And so it's unfortunate, you know. But yes, trust is broken. Trust is broken, and that just begins to tear down a whole lot of things in the heart of a child. And secrets are kept, and all of that is compartmentalized, the abuse and everything, and that carries up into adulthood. And so then we have adults like myself who begin to unravel those stories and recall those memories at different stages in adult development. You know, when you have children and, you know, get married, have children, there might be a loss in the family or some sort of disruption in the family can erupt a lot of those emotions and that have been tucked away, and those memories that have been neatly compartmentalized. And that's when, you know, someone can begin to unravel, and really that's when they need to face their story and begin to work through it. And so that's what my book speaks to, because that's where I got to.
Yeah, facing the truth.
Facing the truth.
I call it facing reality. I can remember a while back there was some things let loose on some coaches and football teams and our sports teams and so on and so forth, where some of this was reported and going on, which again, it's that betrayal of trust.
Absolutely.
Looking to them and also looking for approval. It can have to do with how one responds even when they're older as to where they come from. You know, are they needing affirmation? Are they needing approval? Do they think this will get it for them if they give in? And I want to say, if they give in, we're not going to lay the blame on them. The blame is always on
the abuser,
the abuser, the perpetrator.
Absolutely.
We're going to just say it and we're not going to give in on that.
Yeah, and that is really important. And that's a part of facing the truth of your stories. There's 4 really important parts to that phase, and one of them is accepting that you're not to blame. And that's one of the hardest of all of the women that I've mentored. That is probably the number one most difficult thing to accept and truly believe. Intellectually, we get it, we see it, but in our heart, there's questions like, why didn't I tell sooner? If I didn't tell sooner, maybe it's because I was okay with it. My body responded. If my body responded, I must have been okay with it. There's all these things that we do as survivors to blame ourselves. And so accepting the truth that we're not at fault takes time.
I've had women sitting in the chair counseling that have just been full of self-blame.
Right.
And like you just said, it's just a natural part of our body to respond to sexual advances. It's not that we're in control, our body's in control when that happens, and the perpetrator is taking advantage of what they know,
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And to get something for themselves. They're thinking of themselves and not the child.
No, not at all. And then that's where the crime really takes place. And so there's a loss of innocence. And what I encourage women to do is to kind of go back and recognize that they were innocent children. And part of that is involved in, or the facing their stories that kind of lead them through that. And another, part of facing the truth is really identifying how the abuse affected your life, as a survivor. And for me, I had a lot of anger, a lot of bitterness and resentment, surprisingly not towards my abuser. It was more towards what I call a passive abuser, and that's someone who is aware of the problem but doesn't respond correctly, doesn't help. And so there's betrayal there.
So are you, it's time for us to go out for a break, but are you referring to your mom? Or yes. Did she really know what was going on before you told her?
No, but her response when I told her felt very betrayal.
You're so brave to put all of this in your book. I know God had to be with you and give you the grace to do that. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk more. It's time for a break, and we'll be right back. To be sexually abused is to be betrayed and robbed of one's innocence. To be betrayed by a parent, grandparent, brother, uncle, or friend of the family is what I call the great betrayal. This is true because the very people who are expected to protect a child are the ones who do the abusing. I view sexual abuse, no matter who does it, as the epitome of evil. Yet, as evil and sinful as it is, it proves to be the experience of many young children. Surely we can understand when they wonder if there is a God, and if there is, where is he? An adult survivor might ask that question, where was he? The reality is we live in a world where sick and sinful people have free wills. Yet it is difficult to comprehend a powerful and loving God allowing the pain and suffering sexually abused children endure. The only way we can make sense out of it all is to believe that God has made note of everything they or you have experienced, and that he can ultimately bring glory to himself and work it for good in yours or their life, if you will take your questions and pain to him. Pain can be redemptive. If you have been the victim of sexual abuse, there is hope of recovery and healing. God is able to heal your damaged emotions and give you a sense of personhood that he intended you to have from the beginning. But you have a decision to make. You can continue to carry and wallow in the pain of the past, along with the bitterness and self-pity, or you can release the past, allowing it to grow you into a strong, self-accepting person. Jesus, the Great Samaritan, is willing and ready to treat and heal your wounds. Since this is what your soul cries out for, why don't you decide to take the path of least resistance? Let your pain and bitterness go by giving it to him. His invitation to you is, come to me, and I will give you rest. Thanks for staying with us on Time for Hope. Our guest for today is Crystal Sutherland, and we're talking about her book titled Journey to Heal. And I just saw some of my notes, and we've got some surprises for our viewers with prayer requests that have come in, and it will show how God works with us when we're looking to Him for guidance and to show up, as I call it, show up and be with us and so on and so forth, as you heard me pray. So we've already talked about self-blame. What about the shaming and then the guilt we've talked about? How about the shame? Tell me about that, because that has to do with the emotional wounds that you talk about in your book.
Yeah, shame is part of when we blame ourselves for the abuse. We already feel shame because of what was done to us. But when we blame ourselves, when we carry that guilt, that shame just increases over time, and holding those secrets. It can prevent us from having authentic relationships. It can prevent us from really embracing the life God has for us, from stepping into roles and responsibilities that would use our gifts because we feel like we're going to be rejected, that we're going to be judged. If people really knew our story and what happened to us, that they wouldn't like us anymore and they wouldn't want us to be a part of whatever it is they're doing. And so shame it is a very real part of an adult survivor's life, and it's important to work through their story and process their story to overcome that. And I do believe that through a personal relationship with Christ, God lifts that weight of shame. And as we find out the truth about our stories, as we find out, and for me, being able to discover what the scope of sexual abuse was, what it was, and I didn't find that out. I didn't actually look at that definition until I was very much an adult. And it just opened my eyes and set me free to realize this was a crime against me. This was something that happened to me, not something I did.
People go to prison for this.
Absolutely.
And
totally
they have to serve jail
for
terms, all kinds of things for this. And you know, these perpetrators, if we could speak to them, they need to know this. If they don't know it, that it's a legal crime.
It is. It absolutely is, and that changed.
But then again, what I have seen it do with those that have been abused is that it allows them to continue the behavior with other people, with other partners, so to speak. That purity, that shame, and virginity, we might call it, not being there, they think, well, what the heck, it's all right with my father, stepfather, brother, whatever, then it can be all right with this person.
Yeah, I think it really depends. I think it depends on the person. People can go a lot of different ways. I know for me, I was looking for love and acceptance after that.
I think that's the key right there, though, is
the love and acceptance.
The love and acceptance.
But some people avert to completely being disgusted by the idea of sex. So I went through a little bit of both. First, I was looking for love and acceptance, and I found myself, as I talk about in the book, I found myself in a situation I couldn't control at a young age, and I ended up pregnant. After that, I did have that mentality of, I just don't care about Crystal anymore. I really don't care. If this is what they want, let them have it. Until I reached a point in my relationship with Christ where I realized that that's wrong for me, and that's wrong with God, so I can't do that.
It's wrong for the other person,
It's wrong for the other person, too. And then after a few years of marriage, I reverted into a place where, and I didn't realize at the time that I was struggling with PTSD symptoms. I didn't understand that I was being triggered by things, and that's what was causing some of the very negative and painful emotions I had. But because of what I was going through that I couldn't articulate and I couldn't put a label on, I just shut down inside, and I didn't want my husband to touch me for years, and bless his heart, he weathered through that.
You know, as I was seeing that, I realized that God gave you a man that could handle you and your situation and your past and that kind of thing. That's a gift.
It is a gift, and neither one of us knew what I was going through, because it wasn't until my 30s that I really started realizing there were connections. I started connecting the dots between the abuse and some of the things I was going through, and that took educating myself and finding some resources and hearing other people's stories to help me understand that.
So we move on, and you say the healing, and of course I know that too from what I've heard from others, is a tedious and painful process. It's not something we can go to bed one night, pray, and get up the next morning and it's gone. No, we cannot expect that. That's true with most pain in life. It has to be worked through.
Yes.
It's a journey.
Yes.
And you bring it all out of learning, facing the truth or the reality of where the pain is coming from.
Yes.
And who's responsible, and then looking to God through His Son Jesus Christ. Wasn't that a great day for you when that happened?
Well, it absolutely was. I actually gave my heart to the Lord when I was 13. We made a major move from the West Coast to the East Coast when I went into the 8th grade, and this was during the time the abuse was still happening, because it went on between 10 and 15 and a half, roughly. And it was a little church out in the sticks, and the pastor was always preaching hellfire and brimstone, and that was the first time that I was aware of my sin, and I at that point held myself responsible for what my stepfather was doing. So I really thought I was going to be condemned for what he was doing. And so part of it was out of fear that I gave my heart to Christ, but in my 20s I began to really come to know Him. And
there is a difference.
And there is a difference.
There is a difference.
Big difference.
Getting to know Him.
And as I did, I could see where he was in those years of being in that abusive household, and even after, and the choices I was making. His hand was definitely in my life, but I really saw it in my 20s, and was able to turn to Him, and certainly in my 30s, and
So the first of the 7 steps that you lay out is commitment, and that's commitment to change. That is, it's the we owe it to ourselves, as it were, to commit not just to change, but to commit to ourselves.
Yes.
Make that commitment, number 1, to the Lord,
yes,
and also number 2, to ourselves. And that it is a journey. It's a painful journey, but as you have related, once we know the Lord, we can trust Him to get us through that journey. And you have essentials at the end of every one of your one of these 7, and they're prayer, and the Word, and a thankful heart. I really resonate with the thankful heart. If we can learn to be thankful as we make this journey for every step, that there's a for every positive step. The Lord says to him that has shall be given. In other words, when we realize and express our thankfulness to God, then He's going to give us more to be thankful for, and that can happen in this journey. You agree with me, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they're telling me it's time, actually, for us to go off for this week, and we're going to, as I've already shared with you, we're going to continue for 2 weeks on this subject. So you just stay right where you are as I share some things from our viewers, okay?
Good, thank you.
And my first one for today is amazing. These prayer requests came in before my doing this show, even seeing Crystal's book probably. And I'm sharing them with you as they came in. If you haven't shared your prayer requests with us, we invite you to do that. We try to cover each and every prayer request that comes into Time for Hope. So this one says, Dear Dr. Freda, I am 74 years old and was molested as a young child. I have had prayer before, but I want God to reveal to me any areas I need to deal with and to completely heal me in those areas. Please pray for me. And this is a very earnest prayer request here at the age of 74, still dealing with some areas apparently that she's not aware of, but she knows they're hanging in there. And so, as I said, we've already taken this prayer request to the Lord, and we do pray for this woman that she can be set free. But one thing we know, if she's not set free in this life, when she goes to be with the Lord, she will be set free. And then I have one that says, Dear Dr. Freda, I was really blessed by our great God as I watched your TV program, Time for Hope, today. May God smile upon you always. Please pray for me that God's word in John 15:7 will be established in me and in my life. And again, it's already been covered, this request, in prayer. And those that want to grow and advance in the Lord, of course, that's a wonderful, wonderful thing to share with us, and we appreciate that so much. The other thing that I ask from you is that you seriously consider helping us financially with the outreach of Time for Hope. We're touching many, many lives, not just in America, but across the world, and when they can pick it up, when those that want to can pick it up. And so we ask you to help us in that. And then I ask that you stay with us, because I'm going to be rejoining Crystal for our Time for Hope show next week.
A free fact sheet that contains additional information about today's topic is available upon request from our ministry. You can also receive a copy of today's resource for a donation of at least $17 to the Time for Hope ministry. You may call us at 800-669-9133. Write us at Post Office Box 2169, Spartanburg, South Carolina 29304. Or visit our website at timeforhope.org. When you call or write, prayerfully consider a donation to our ministry. Our ministry's mission is to offer hope to discouraged and hurting people. As we continue to give out messages of hope, a financial gift of any amount to support this ministry will be greatly appreciated. When you do this, you are joining us in offering hope to many viewers seeking help and hope for their situation. This will also enable us to inform and inspire some viewers to expand our mission, as they learn and in turn can minister more effectively to hurting people around them. Look for Dr. Freda's scriptural devotions on our Time for Hope TV ministry Facebook page. And to see this program again online, visit our website or search for the Time for Hope TV ministry on YouTube, iTunes, Roku, or Facebook. Join us next week for more on today's topic. Until next time, have a great week. And remember, it is time for hope.